All right, people, we should be live. Welcome back to another Bitcoin live stream. It's Trader XO here. The date is 25th of November 2024, and the time is just after 10:30 p.m. UTC. If you could all give me a quick confirmation in the chat that you can hear my voice and that you can see my screen. And we'll kick off. We shall kick off the stream. And as always, a real pleasure to see the regular faces in the chat. Awesome. So, as always, a special thank you to OK Exchange for partnering with me, where I'm a product partner. And they kindly sponsor my streams, and I get to present these to you guys at no cost. Secondly, I'd just like to state that anything in today's video is not financial advice. It is just my view of the market, and that's all it is. Okay, without further ado, we'll just talk about the private group that I was scheduled to run. I can appreciate there's been some issues with the registration link, so I've had to defer the group until the new year. I probably will be looking to start more than likely now on the 5th of January, just whilst we resolve some technical issues. So just to recap what this is about, I will be opening up a free private group. Okay, it's not paid. I'm not asking you for your money. I've never run any paid service or paid groups in the past. It's not a signal service. It's not financial advice. It's not a Discord group or a Telegram group, okay? And it's basically where all I'm asking for people is to sign up with my exchange partners. And upon doing so, any money received via commissions, I will be donating to charity, okay? I do not want anybody's money. I do not need referral income. For me, this is just a way to give back to you guys, and at the same time, give back to charity in the process, okay? I will be doing some funded account giveaway and prizes. The next part is, like I said, it will be 2 to 3 private streams, videos per week, okay? I will be posting less on Twitter, and I shall be more focused on the group, the content that I deliver. It will be some real core concepts around price action, order flow concepts, trade execution on the lower time frames, which is a very commonly asked question, and also trading systemization. What does that mean? What does that look like? I will be happy to share some of my trade journals, my trading plans, my trading methodologies, the processes that I go through from journaling to using software to record my trades, and also how I manage the mental aspects of trading, which I think is a topic that isn't very well covered in the crypto space. I know everybody's keen to talk about the mindset and the trading mindset, but how do you actually journal your mindset? How do you improve from some of the emotions that you have to battle with on a daily basis, which is fear or greed or anger, or not having the ability to focus on your trading? So that's going to be the plan, okay? Unfortunately, like I said, I was hoping to launch on the 2nd of December. That's now been pushed back to the 5th of January. As an interim workaround, please stay tuned into the streams during mid-December, because what I will be doing, and this is the plan that I had with the group, was to share my 2025 trading manual. I'll be sharing some of the processes that I go through, just to hope that it inspires others out there who perhaps want to come up with their own system, but they're not sure what that looks like, okay? Now, for today's stream, I was hoping to cover patterns of distribution, exiting markets, looking for top signals, and how do I switch contexts, from a long perspective to shorts. However, I'm going to postpone this to Sunday stream, which is Sunday the 1st of December. I also think that fits very well with the monthly open, so we'll talk about the monthly open strategy. And I think now, given where Bitcoin is, I think, it's no surprise to me that we are seeing a corrective move on Bitcoin. It's something that I covered on the last stream, and I'll talk about that in further detail today. So today's video, or today's stream, is essentially likely to be a continuation of what we saw from last week. Now, as always, the first question I'm going to ask the chat room is, last week I asked you guys, what's the high of Bitcoin likely to be? Okay. Now my question to you guys is, what's the high of Bitcoin likely to be this week, now that we're getting a pullback? Is the top in? That's the first question. Do people feel or believe that the top is in, or do you still believe that we are likely to go higher in December or January? Please leave a comment in the chat. I'm very keen to see what some of the answers or the responses are. Yeah, Fabio, for people who are based around the world, the streams are basically, I'm going to be launching a website, okay, where you have to essentially sign up with an exchange partner, and once you have your exchange ID, you will then need that to register on the website. All the videos will be there, okay? They will be there for as long as the website remains running. That's it. There's nothing to sell. There's no paid courses or anything, so it's not going to cost you anything other than you signing up via the referral link. Higher. Okay, so everybody's so bullish, right? So when Bitcoin pulls back, this is all just expected, right? You all had this down last week as per my stream that you've got to be looking for corrections. Is that correct? Everybody's going to start buying the dip and send Bitcoin back to 120k, right? All right, okay, cool. All right, let's kick on. Do we believe it's going to be an alt season? Or do you feel as though alts are not going to run at all? $85k then higher. All right, okay, look, so let's crack on then. I think in today's stream, it's been a long week for me. My brain is pretty much fried at this stage, but we crack on. Look, at the end of the day, the key aspects that I talked about last week was when I mapped this range out, okay? Ignore anything below here. This is irrelevant. I'm not marking these out to say, look, Bitcoin could come here or here. This is just contextual overview. I use this as a range projection. This is now the mid-level of what could potentially be the projected highs. Now, what I want you to understand, very, very importantly, that this is not me telling you that Bitcoin is likely to go to 120k and top out. What I said to you last week was that the way I use this, or use ranges, is first and foremost to manage risk. Secondly, look for points of inflection that I can position into, whether that's on the long side, whether that's on the short side, or whether I wish to hedge any given position. And the third aspect is it gives me something to work with my system, talking about trade systematization. This is a key purpose of me. I'm not in the industry, like I said, to guess where price is going. I need to see reactions, and then I will react from those levels accordingly if I see enough evidence in the price, in the charts, on the data, to warrant me making a trade, whether that's a long, short, or a hedge. Okay. Now, let's just zoom into the chart. The first thing that I talked about last week, and again, I'm not saying, hey, I called it, I said this was the top. That's bullshit, okay? All I said was that there's a fairly decent chance this might be a probable top, a local top, I should say. And therefore, if you're looking to long in this zone, I think it's very dangerous. The risk to reward is fairly poor because we've already had an extensive move. We had an extensive move which was very similar to this, from 44,000 up until 70,000. And again, there's been very few pullbacks. It's been an aggressive trend to the upside. So at some point you have to expect a corrective move down, okay? And like I talked about last week, that it's not unusual to see Bitcoin print these 20-30% pullbacks over a matter of weeks. But yet the crowd or the sentiment out there will start telling you that Bitcoin is likely to go to 40,000, 30,000, 50,000 in the next several weeks. Distribution patterns take time to play out. Look back at what happened in February to March, okay? Whether this was distribution or not at the time, you don't know until it breaks down. The same happened again in October, November. Bitcoin traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly 6 weeks at these highs before it lost momentum and started trading lower down. So I don't believe for any point in time that this is it, that this is the top. What I do believe is that price, in terms of probability, is likely to trade between this 80, 81, 82, 83 region and that 100k level there. Perhaps over the next few weeks we see a rotational range-bound price action, whether it's a series of intra lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, until it finds a base before we see another pushback to take out the highs into 100k. Okay, that's kind of the expectation that I'm leaning towards. If I'm wrong on that expectation, then where am I wrong on that expectation? It's essentially where, if price starts trading below this 82, 81k level, finds rejection on the inside and continues lower, then there is a significant shift in context. For as long as price keeps rejecting from the underside of that 83k level, then I have to be open to the possibility that we could trade lower down into 78, 75s, okay? But for now, the immediate zones that I'm looking at is between 99 and 83 from a high time frame contextual point of view. Is that clear? Now, what I also like about this chart is the fact that today is the 25th of November. And if you look at the monthly open, look at this for a monthly candle. I do believe that we are pricing in, or we have already priced in, the high of the month. We've had the low of the month at 66,000. In a matter of weeks, we've rallied to nearly $100,000. So I do believe that this is printing now the high of the month. Maybe we get to 100 again. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced we will. I certainly don't think we're going to break out into new all-time highs on a sustained rally over the next several days heading into month end. Okay, it's Monday today, so we've got 4 days left of the business week, and then we've got the weekend, and we have the new monthly open on Sunday, the 1st of December. So again, rule of thumb. Now, if you understand how I play monthly opens, can anybody hazard a guess as to what I'm going to say next about the monthly open for December and the type of strategy that I will be looking for on Bitcoin? I'll leave that to the chat to reply with, and then I'll explain essentially what I'm looking for. I just don't know where. Thank you. I appreciate you all. I really appreciate the warm comments in the chat. You know, it's yeah. Thank you. I will talk about where I'm looking to close the Bitcoin short that I've got. I just want to make it clear. I'm not here to blow my own trumpet. I am short on Bitcoin, but that short is not an outright short. It's more of a hedge against my spot position. That's all it is. It's downside protection. It's downside insurance. I still obtain and hold my Bitcoin. I'm still fully exposed to altcoins. I use the Bitcoin hedge as primarily a way to offset risk and lock in the gains. So it's not an outright short. And I talked about this in detail last week, that if you are looking to short Bitcoin, there's a very high probable chance that you will be offside very quickly. However, I did raise my thoughts that this could be a local top, and it wouldn't surprise me. We went over in detail. Don't be surprised if you see a 20-30% correction to the downside. And if Bitcoin ranges, which I'll touch upon later in the stream, that we should see that continuation of the so-called alt season. Okay, so basically, yeah, I'm looking for, we'll talk about it on Sunday stream, is the December monthly open. I'm looking for early lows of the month, okay? I think it's going to be fairly shallow, because if we are in a trending market, then what you generally find is that in a bullish trend, when you have the monthly open, price, if it's into a level of support, then price trades below the monthly open for a very, very short, shallow period of time. The minute it reclaims, I think that then sets you in validation at the low. So let's just assume this is the monthly open, and let's just assume price opens, trades above it, spends a few days below. Again, very shallow price action, not pushing away extensively, and just assume that support is round about here. What you want to be looking for is acceptance back above, stop at the low, there's your long trigger. Look for the trend continuation momentum higher on altcoins that look relatively strong, and perhaps Bitcoin as well. Okay, so that's, in essence, it's not rocket science. The simplicity of one, how I trade monthly opens, it's not in isolation, it's along with a demand zone, or if I'm looking for the short side, a supply zone, but the overall context of price matters. Okay, now let's just drop down into the lower time frames. I think for me, look, the fact is now that we've traded through this 95k level, which price was holding up as support. You can see price holding up as support on the 21st. It reacted from this level, traded back up to 98. We've traded below it, rejected on the inside, and now we're sliding lower down. Okay, so I think there's a fairly decent probable chance, okay, that if I am looking to close my short, okay, let's just talk about two levels that I'm looking for price to trade into. The first real objective that I would love to see price trade into is this level here. It's that 85k level, 86, 85, call it whichever you like, okay? Whether you want to take the candle bodies or whether you want to take the wicks, it's this zone that I'm looking for price to trade, essentially, to give me a reaction from this level for price to range and perhaps continue higher. The second level, such that if this actually fails to hold, okay, let's just say price pushes up, and then we get a significant move down into that 86k level, I wouldn't be afraid of that. You know, I really would consider that as a fantastic buying opportunity, potentially on altcoins, if altcoins pull back with a fairly reasonable drop on Bitcoin. And you have to expect this, because look at where we have rallied from. We have rallied from the region of 68, 69, all the way through to 99. That's a $30,000 rally in a matter of weeks. So, you know, even if you take the low to the high, you've got that 0.5 fib level at 83,000. And that leads me on to the next point of interest that I'm looking at here, is that when you drop down onto the 1 hour time frame, oh, sorry, I should say 4 hour time frame, there is another zone here, just there, that I'd be interested in, okay? Because this was a consolidation or the compression before we saw the expansion, okay? Again, when I talk about compression and expansion, look at the origin of the move. The origin of the move was, okay, we broke above, compression, 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 and then we get expansion, pull back, another origin, okay, where price found support before we saw continuation higher. So that's why these two levels are important for me, or perhaps I should say why, if price is to trade into these two levels, they're the two levels that I would be looking for strength in the market, looking for price, Bitcoin to show some stability. And with that stability, you will see an increased appetite on altcoins for as long as ETH BTC moves on. Okay, is that clear? So the two levels that I've identified in terms of where I would like to see Bitcoin show a reaction from is the 85, 86k level, or alternatively the 82, 81k level. It's one of these two levels that I'd want a reaction. What I'm personally leaning towards, and again, I couldn't tell you what happens next. What I'm personally leaning towards is more of a 20-25% correction. So if we take the highs from here, that's 20%. Gets us to around about 80,000. Okay, when you look at that, and again, when you look at something like this, let's just say 17%, okay, it shouldn't come as a surprise, because if you look at how Bitcoin trades historically over the last 4 years, you often get these fast moves down. And this is what I want to see. If Bitcoin is going to pull back, I want it to be fast and aggressive with a spring. And it may come back down to test the lows again, but you will find a level of support where buyers are stepping into the market and price is very short-lived in this demand zone, okay? So you get one test, bounce, lower high, second test, lower low, rounded retest, and then you get continuation higher. Alternatively, you could see something like this: compression, 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 expansion, pulls back into the origin of the move at the lows, okay? That's where you want to see 1, 2, 3 days of trading, short-lived, before we see price spring even higher again. So it's I feel as though it's going to be one of these two environments that we may, okay, I'm not saying we will, that we may, or what I would be looking for to really be aggressive in taking on longs again is these two types of structures. All right. And again, if you look back at the third scenario is this, whereby Bitcoin actually doesn't do anything. It's followed a similar trajectory. You've got this compression of price, okay, into a trend line, and then finally you get the expansion. You get a top for 3-4 days, and then you get a pullback. But it's kind of in no man's land. And then it ranges for the best part of December through to February for 2 months. You've got a run of the highs, you've got a run of the lows, price comes back into balance. What does balance mean? Where you have an equilibrium of demand in a range, okay, and sellers stepping into the market at the local highs. But price is essentially oscillating between these two zones with the extremes, which mean revert back inside. And I think this is not a bad scenario either. If we do get something like this for 6-7 weeks, I think that really, really gives altcoins the ultimate environment, along with ETH BTC, to excel significantly to the upside, okay? But then my question would be, well, if Bitcoin is truly in a trending environment, does it really need to range bound for 2 months? I'm not so sure. Evening, Charlie. Hope you're well. Good to see you. So they're kind of the three structures that I'd be looking for, but I think my preference is something like this. If we truly are going to go higher on Bitcoin, then it's more so the fact that if we are already in a strong trending environment, which we should be because we've just broken out of a 6-7 month range, then I don't feel as though there's really much need to kind of form this 2 month consolidation period. I'd be much more pleased to see this type of environment where price flushes down to the lows very, very quickly, bounces. This was from January through to February, so you have a period of 28 days, 3-4 weeks of range-bound price action. And when price establishes support, this is when altcoins really picked up momentum back in 2021. So this is one environment. This is my second preferred environment. It's a sharp flush down, a strong reversal back up, altcoins and Bitcoins run together. In this environment, Bitcoin ranges and altcoins run. And then the third environment that I gave you, which I really wouldn't want to see this, but Bitcoin kind of trading sideways in range for 2 months. Yes, altcoins will do well, but then I'm like, okay, well, why is Bitcoin spending another 2 months having just broken out of a range, and then we just remain range bound here for 2 months? I'm not so sure how that would play out. Okay, so that's kind of the scenario that I'm looking for. Now let's talk about my short. Okay, ultimately it's a hedge. That's all it is. It's not an outright short. And if I'm looking to long from these levels here, then I'm looking to scale out my shorts here. Okay, I'm not bothered about price trading into 83s and I've closed out my short. Shit, I've missed out on a bit of a move. The fact is I've captured the majority of the gain. I've been long from $54,000. I've not closed out any of my spot. In fact, what I've done, and I tweeted about this and I talked about this on stream last week, is that I'm really looking for buying opportunities on ETH BTC for the first time in a very long time. So this is the zone where I want to close my shorts, in that 84, 85. If it goes deeper and this fails to hold, then fine. I'll probably look to close it out at the 83 level, but I need to see a reaction. I'm not blindly closing out my shorts. I need to see some form of reaction to suggest to me, right, okay, this is held up nicely. it's time to cut my shorts and start looking for longs on Bitcoin, okay? I'm not just going to blindly close my shorts because, hey, guess what? It's trading to that level. It's all about the reaction. And even if we do get a reaction and it's short-lived and it rolls over, then fine. I'll just wait until I get a strong enough reaction from the 83K level. I'm not trying to nail the absolute bottom. I'm trying to give myself downside protection from this up move where I've locked in the gains and then step into the market when I see enough strength to start looking for longs again. Where I wouldn't say wrong on the short idea, but where I would be looking to cut the short, okay, because like I said, I'm just delta neutral at the moment, is all right, fine. There's enough strength in the market to suggest this is just a shallow pullback, and Bitcoin pops back up. So right now, if I'm short from 99, my stop is over here. And so what if I get stopped out? You know, I haven't lost anything. The point is that I'm playing the probability of giving myself downside protection such that the market pulls back and I can close the shorts in profit. I've locked in the gains, managed my drawdown, and now I can flip long. That's all it is, okay? So that's all there really is to it. Now moving out onto the higher time frame, just give me a second. Why am I leaning towards continued downside? Well, if you look at the XO trend scanner coded by my good friend Charlie, so if you want access to this indicator, please deposit $10,000 into his account. He'll give you access to this. Otherwise, you can search for it in TradingView for free. It's under XO and I probably Trader XO macro trend scanner. There you go. BTC Charlie, Trader XO macro trend scanner, liked by 5,150 people. Okay, so again, when you look at this on the 4 hour, we've just crossed the 12 and the 25 to the downside. When you look at what happens generally when Bitcoin crosses the 12 and the 25 in a trended market, you can backtest this. You do get continued selling off, okay? Same again happened here. It does sell off, but this is more of a range bound environment. Perhaps in the trend, it's slightly more shallower and short-lived. Let's go back to 2021. Let's see what happened there. You can see that Bitcoin topped at the highs, crossed down. We flipped bearish on the 4 hour, but it traded into a level of demand, a demand zone, okay? But when you look at the... So the point is, I think for now, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see further correction to the downside on Bitcoin. But like I said, I think that presents opportunity. It's not something to be afraid of. If you are sidelined on altcoins and we do get a flush lower down, then that should give you some buying opportunities over the coming weeks. Okay. If you look at the daily is fine. There's the 12 EMA, the 25 is trading at $86,000. So don't be surprised if price does drop lower down. Okay. Does drop lower down, actually springs under the 12 and the 25s, trades into that 83, 84 level, but it's very... Remember what I talked about in last week's streams about price remaining under the bands in a bullish environment, very, very shallow price action below the bands. The minute it flips, that's a momentum higher. So don't be surprised if we see price trading below the bands. The minute it pops back up, that's your continuation higher, or at least back to range highs, or a lower high, and price establishes that range bound environment before we may see continuation higher. Okay, this is not distributive yet. It's just a trended market. Trends don't become distribution in a matter of days and then break down and fall down to $50,000. That is a very low probabilistic scenario, and it's not even one that I'm contemplating, or one that I certainly don't see coming to fruition. So for me, this is just gonna, if we do see a stalling of the trend, then this will be somewhat of a consolidation, corrective range bound environment, and if that is the case, then we will see momentum on altcoins. The final aspect that I want to touch upon, and I'm not going to delve into this too much, but for those of you who have watched my streams, you'll understand how I time bottoms with the stock RSI. So again, the key concept is how can I increase the probability of being right using a momentum or momentum-based oscillators. You've only got to look back on the daily, and you've only got to look back on how Bitcoin performs in trending environments when the stock RSI is at the low. So I think, give or take another 3, 4, 5, 6 days, this will probably bottom out, and we start seeing oscillation maybe in December back to the highs. Okay, it does take a few days. It can be extended for several days like this, or it can be short and shallow like this. Bottom, 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 bottom. Okay, the lows again, you got the lows. Lows again, and you've got the lows. Okay, so you can see the confluence. Notice that I'm not even talking about the tops. Why am I not talking about the tops here? Because the fact is, I'm looking for contextual longs. I'm looking for inflection points and how to time the stock RSI oscillating at the lows into a level of demand. That's going to be a really good setup, I feel. Okay, even if it tags into this mid-range that I've defined, even if it wicks below, it gets back above, stop at the lows, trigger back to the local range high from 83 to 96 with some confluence of this. The only time I pay attention to the tops is if we are really in a downtrending or bearish environment, or I'm looking to hedge off some risk, okay? Which in this instance, you can see the RSI topped on the 12th of November, but whereas price is over here, that was not a reason to go short, because you don't fade the trend. When price is broken out of a 6-month range, oscillators can remain overbought or oversold, right, in trends. And if you look at this example, the RSI, the stock RSI was trending lower as price is going higher. But you will get those divergences where eventually momentum will stall and eventually you will get a corrective move back down again. Okay, so that's that. And again, if you look at the MACD, I believe on the daily that was signaling, yeah, you're getting a level of compression. So whether if we get a reset, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But just signs that we could see a correction for at least several days more, okay? Or at least price ranges within this zone for the next several days at least, okay? That's all there is to it. Any questions? I'm just looking at the chat. But I'm just taking it really slow, trying to explain my thoughts. You know, just stay calm, stay composed. It's just another trade, okay? And the best trades are when price comes into those fantastic buying opportunities where you see many people who have chased this rally to the upside for very little gain now, okay? There's a real chance that anybody who's just bought or longed, you know, 97, 98, right? Telling you that price is going to go to 120 with a stop on 94. What do you think is going to happen to them? They're going to get rattled. They're going to piss their pants and price will probably cascade lower down. So like I said, there was really no reason to long Bitcoin. I clearly stated this on the timeline on stream last week that instead you want to be identifying buying opportunities. All right, mate. Charlie, have a good one, buddy. Right, let's move on. ETH BTC. Like I said, I think this is going to play out for a few more days. We'll see where we are come Sunday. Now, the next chart, ETH BTC. What did we talk about on last week's stream? We said that price is into a monthly demand zone. Brilliant. Okay? Fantastic. We said price is also not just into a monthly demand zone, but also into a weekly demand zone. And it's traded into that zone. We also said that look out for a bullish pin bar as a potential reversal on ETH BTC. You want to see a bullish pin bar close into a weekly, monthly demand zone. That is probably some of the best risk to reward setup that you can get. Instead, you could argue whether this was a spinning top candle or whether this is a doji candle, whichever you want to call it. The point is that for me, I do believe that there's a very good chance that if the lows aren't in already, then we're very close to a significant reversal on ETH BTC. Whether this gives one more pullback but I do feel that we will see a face ripping candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 weeks of price action could very well be raised in a matter of weeks. That's the risk that you face if you're trying to short ETH USDT, which I've seen many people do on the timeline. That's fine. I personally wouldn't be shorting ETH USDT, knowing that when Bitcoin, if Bitcoin is to slowly bleed lower down and ETH BTC shows strength, what do you think is going to happen when Bitcoin finds support? And ETH has already showed significant dominance in today's market, where Bitcoin has rolled over for 6-7%, but yet ETH has caught a bid. Tells you a lot about the market, the current state of the market, where capital is rotating into ETH. Okay, and the strength on ETH BTC, you don't want to fade this. This is not the time to fade it. After 1.5 years, you're now thinking, shit, ETH BTC is bearish. That's the wrong mindset. This is opportunity, or you want to be identifying probable opportunity in the chart. That's all there is. That's literally all there is to it. I could keep going on and on and on about ETH BTC, but that's literally all there is to it. And then when you look at Bitcoin dominance, right? What's this telling you? Is it any surprise that ETH BTC is moving up and Bitcoin dominance is moving down? Okay. So I really like the opportunity that we have ahead of us on altcoins, and such that if Bitcoin does give you that rapid expansion to the downside now, a fast cascading move into 82, 83, I think you will see some significant red days on alts, maybe 10, 20% moves down on altcoins. But I do sense that they will be bought up very, very quickly. They'll consolidate at the lows for 2-3 days, and then they will spring higher, as will as for as long as ETH BTC continues to show that strength, and you want to be observant of what Bitcoin dominance is doing as well. Okay, so just the two charts that I would look at for understanding the contextual environment of altcoins is ETH BTC. We know that when ETH BTC performs to the upside, that's generally a positive environment for altcoins to perform to the upside as well. And Bitcoin often remains range bound, doesn't really do a great deal. So you've got to go for where the opportunity is, where the volatility is, where you're going to see those higher beta players, and that's altcoins right now, okay, for me. So that's another point. Now let's move on to total 2. In fact, let's look at total. Do not be surprised, again, very confluent with Bitcoin. Total market cap has made new all-time highs. Do not be surprised if Bitcoin trades into that 83k level. Okay, this is, again, you can't trade these charts, but what these charts serve, right? I don't give a flying fuck what anybody else says. I've been trading these markets for 7 years. I know what works well for me. I've nailed alt markets every season. Every time I've played alts, I've done very, very well. I've done well, performed exceptionally well to the upside and exceptionally well to the downside. So I don't really care what other people have to say. All I'm concerned about is, do I have a system which tells me when to be aggressive, when to be defensive? Yes. Has that system served my purpose over the years? Yes. I don't need to be looking over my shoulder or looking over other people's shoulder to see what their opinions are. The chart tells me everything I need to know. And when you come to a point in your trading career where you can make your own informed decisions, that's when you're in full control of your own actions. You're accountable for your own actions. You don't need to be looking at other people to figure out what they're talking about. You're only going to improve, right? Honestly, trust me on this. You're only going to improve the day you switch off Twitter, you put your head down, look at the screens, look at the charts, follow your own plans, follow your own actions, understand your invalidation points, understand why you're looking to get into a trade. That's when you're going to start seeing a real shift and development of yourself as a trader. And you have to go through that process. If you're currently in the market looking for calls or signals from other people, you're not going to make it. It's as simple as that. Until you get that wake-up call, that reality check, then fine. And I'm not talking about buying a meme coin and hitting 200x. That is not trading. That's just pure luck, being in the right place at the right time, and you've managed to throw $5,000 into a shitcoin, and in 3 weeks' time, it's probably worth $1 million, okay? Try doing that 100 times and see how far you get. The reality is it's not going to happen. It's not a repeatable, actionable event that you can do for the next 1,000 trades. Okay, so that's rant over, but that's my point. Be self-sufficient and be accountable for your own actions. And the only way you're going to do that is understand price action, the charts, what you're looking for, what you're anticipating, be realistic. And secondly, your mindset. When price comes to that level, are you now going to have fear because you think price is going to break another 10, 20, 30% lower down? Okay. Or are you going to start chasing tops where I saw last week people started to long 97, 98, 99? Okay, ludicrous. Craziness to short along these levels up here when this was looking fairly exhaustive. Okay. So again, looking at a total, if Bitcoin is to pull into that 82, 83, 84K level, you want to see this trade into this level. Maybe it goes under and flips back above. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just holds the support. But again, you're looking for factors of confluence. You want to see price pushing away from this level, whether it trades below it and then gets back above, or whether it trades into it and pushes away. You want to chase that momentum back to the upside. So that's why it's a factor of confluence. And then when you look at total 2, again, I'm looking for something very similar. I already have this mapped out. I shared this on the chart. This is an SR zone. Okay. Let's just clear the chart. Clear the chart. Whichever way you look at it. Where was the origin of this move down? It was here. When price traded back into this zone, what did price do? Sell off. This is a massive inflection point. The fact that for the first time since this bull market, we are now trading considerably above that level. The fact is that you should now, if you look at this, this is a supply zone, price sold off, retest of supply, sold off aggressively, retest of supply, sold off aggressively. So this zone now is that such that if Bitcoin and altcoins and Ethereum do give a pullback, this is the zone or the pocket that you want to see acting as support. Starts pushing away, whether you want to buy this or it starts pushing away, you are now essentially trading the upper bound of this range. So look at the look at the high time frame context ahead of you. Secondly, what's the trend scanner saying on the weekly? We've just literally flipped bullish. The bands are trading at 1.07 and 1.01 trillion. If this consolidates into here and these bands pushes up here, you've got to buy that until it fails. Go with the trends to the upside, okay? The trend, the momentum is to the upside. We've just had a corrective move for 7 months. This is the expansion, pullback, continuation higher into these highs. Look at what Solana did. Okay? Weekly, pulls into the bands, expansion, shallow pullback, continuation higher. Now let's look at total 3. So the point I'm trying to make is that contextually there are so many good setups out there. So many very, very good setups. So again, looking at this is total 3, very similar to what I showed on total and total 2. There's your mid of this range here. Okay, supply zone. Probably pull it down a bit. There we go, okay? We've just traded into that mid. So any corrections now into month end and early December with the, let's just assume the December monthly open is around here next week whilst price is down here. That's a beautiful pivot point with the stop at the low. First target, second target in terms of high time frame context. Again, you can't trade total 2, total 3, but it should serve as the foundations of what the market is telling you. Okay, and then we've got others, which I believe is fairly similar into that supply zone, but I suspect this will eventually crank higher. We've seen a flow of capital into Cardano, into XLM, into XRP. That capital will rotate out of there and come into mid caps and eventually low caps at some point. My stock RSI settings are standard. There's nothing different about what I use, other than I've just changed the color scheme. But again, look at the monthly. The monthly is starting to point to the upside. That looks fine, you know. I really do like how this is shaping up. So, yeah, overall, look, I think opportunity is what I'm calling for. Continued opportunity. We're just going to quickly cycle through some altcoins now, but I will start sharing trade setups again on Sunday stream when we have the monthly open. I think that's really going to be a nice pivotal point. But I'm just going to whiz through. Look, it's been a very, very good week for me. I think I've shared so many setups on the timeline, which have played out phenomenally well. We'll start off on tier. A lot of people are asking me, hey, XO, are you still in tier? Why is it not moving? Shall I cut my position? Some of you just need to learn patience and understand what bottoming structures look like and why they can take time, and why I've always said that you want to be buying the tail side of accumulation. You don't want to be buying this shit here and then sit on it for 6 months, right? This is where I want to do my... I've been talking about buying tier here all the way through from September, October, November, and then finally we get the pop out. Okay, I do believe that this will inevitably give a pullback. We'll shift into a trend. That's my target. $12. Take profit. It might pull back. If it flips back above the $12 level, guess what? You've got this entire zone to trade. So I'm not just going to bag hold this all the way up and watch it come all the way back down. I'll probably take profit. I've already taken 10% here just to pay myself something. Okay, just to de-risk a slight amount. But if inevitably I'm looking to start playing futures or pips over the next week or so, because we've just broken out of the high time frame range. Any pullbacks into here, I'll be looking for leverage longs up into $12. Low leverage longs, okay? If you look at Dime, it's another one that I've talked so many times. Look at that. Sideways. You've had ample opportunity to buy the lows every single time from this point. Ignore this. That defined the lows, but you've had 1, 2, 3 opportunities to buy the lows and literally trade the move up for 100%. And this is not even finished. This, in my opinion, will comfortably get to $3.60. And if you do get a sharp pullback, and look how strong altcoins are. Just look at this. If you look at what Bitcoin has done, but yet altcoins are holding up very, very well. Look at ETH BTC again. Is that something that you want to fade on a daily candle? ETH BTC is breaking down. ETH BTC is trading higher. Okay, let's look at ETH USDT. Remember the chart that I shared on the timeline, that where I'm looking for a pullback on Ethereum and where it should trade next? Well, we've just smashed into our target there. I closed my hedges, longed off 3100, straight into 35. I'm not looking to take profit on this. If I do get a pullback, fine. As long as my stop is below here, I'm looking for these highs up at 4,000. So, whichever way you look at it, I shared my plans ahead of time on the stream, on the timeline, and it's been a very, very good week. Very good week. There you go. This was the tweet that I shared on the 15th of December. Basically, I said I don't mind price wicking into 20, but ideally I want to see 29,300 hold, flip the mid into the highs there, okay? And that's essentially what we got. There's the lows there. There's a level that was a swing from over here at 3,400 straight into 3,500, just below 36, just below 36. Why? Well, look left. Supply zone. That's where price sold off. Pullback, aggressive sell-off. Okay, so we're into that supply zone now. So if there are any pullbacks, it's because Bitcoin is trading lower down. It's going to drag the market slightly lower. But what you're looking for, and please pay attention to this, strength on altcoins, okay? Bitcoin can trade 83,000. It's just dropped from, let's just assume it goes to 83, right? And it's traded 99,000. It's just dropped $16,000 to 83,000, and all ETH can do is just pull back into 3,200 or maybe 3,000. That's strength in the market on altcoins, especially ETH, which you should see continuation higher. And if we do, we should get that compression and then pop into expansion into the highs, okay? That's what I'd be looking for. Is that clear? All right, well, let's move on to some other altcoins. Say, no surprises. I don't know what to say to you guys. You know, I'm not going to sound like a broken record, but it is what it is. Okay, you've got to recognize that we've been in a downtrend. We're at the cycle lows here. This was buying opportunity. This was the higher low. You've got to buy these pullbacks. It's trend continuation higher. If you're asking me now, XO, where can I get on and say? I don't know what to tell you. The fact is, you know, I was vocally, adamantly clear that I'm buying, say, at these levels. I've said it on stream all the way as far back as September. I've said it numerous times on the timeline. I'm looking for price action to trade significantly higher. I'm bullish on the market. I'm bullish on altcoins. This is opportunity in the market, okay? This is not opportunity. This is where people get euphoric. This is where people are fearing or alts are never going to run again. You saw it in the timeline. July, August, altcoins are cooked. They're not going to run again. Bitcoin's going to take off, but altcoins are going to perform. It's the same shit every cycle. Same shit happened in November 2020 when I said it's going to be another alt season. And it was a month later. All I saw was comments, no, alt's not going to run. They're not going to perform very well. Bitcoin's just going to tear away. Well, what's happening now in the market? Bitcoin is going through a range of consolidation, a correction, and altcoins are showing strength in the market. Any pullbacks are very, very short-lived. Okay, we've got that correction move down at 7 p.m. UTC into 59 cents, and already it's bouncing. So I do suspect this will continue pushing higher. I think TIA pushes higher. Let's go over some of the charts that I shared last week. Desync hit the target, is pulling back. Okay, straight into 37 cents. Yep, you're going to get a correction, and inevitably, whether that's a high or low into this zone, I'm looking for continuation into a trend. We've been range bound since May. 7 months: May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 7-8 months of range bound price action in a base building environment. And you think this is just going to trade a range? I'm looking for this to trade a trend into 64 cents using a range projection. I talked about TIE. That's another one that I gave at down here. I said to look for the pullback, 12-13 cents, right? You could have got in. And where's it gone? Straight into 31 cents. Within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days. Another one was Vanry, which was at the cycle lows. Brilliant buying opportunity. It's one that like I said, I invested in 2020. I was in the private sale when it used to be Terra Virtua. It went from 4 cents to $1.20. Obviously, I took profit, and you know, it's a project that I will continue to back every time it comes towards these buying opportunities. Just because I'm a backer of Vanry doesn't mean that, hey, guess what, guys? When Vanry goes all the way up here, I'm going to hold it and watch it come all the way back down. If you think I'm going to do that, and you think if that's how the game is, then I'm going to tell you, no, that's wrong, that's bullshit. Of course I'm going to take profit. But that doesn't stop me from looking for opportunities to long this, okay? Which, again, I covered on last week's stream. That look for pullbacks into that 8-7 cents, looking for price to continue higher, at least into 24 over the next several weeks. That's where I'm looking for. Anyone is another one. Literally shared it down here at $1, and it's at 160. That's a 60% gain. And I still feel as though this, again, look how I've identified, look at the type of trades I'm going for. I'm not talking about Popcat or Simon. I'm talking about these price structures that have been range bound for many, many months, that inevitably, if the fundamentals are good enough, right, and it's why I've put my money into these plays, my own money, because I'm backing one, the fundamentals in a bull market to push price higher. Okay, you can have exposure to these utility plays. When Ethereum starts catching a bid, these are going to catch a bid. Okay, if you look at Jito, another one that I'm in that I shared, that's now hit 2/3 of the range. We've been in since the lower bounds over here. Literally where I've been sharing the setup. Pushing away now. The objective here, that we'll pull back into the bid. It might get below it, back above, monthly open, straight into $5. That's what I'd be looking for. All this to get filled. Then we'll see what happens. Jupiter. Slightly slower, but inevitably, I do believe it will get there. You know, you've got to have patience in some of these plays. And there's your mid-level, give or take. Into a corrective higher low. You really don't want to see it break structure. Higher low, higher high. In comparison to this swing, higher low, higher high. Another higher low, as long as this is respected, that's an opportunity to go long into another higher high. PAL, I mean, despite the shit show that they went through, this really needs to get above 20 cents. I feel as though this was a horrific fuck up by the team. It was an awful PR fuck up, if I'm really honest. But look, you know, I haven't sold any. I'm still holding. I want to see AI kicking, and once it does, I think PAL can go above 20 cents, trade back into this range here. That's where I'd be looking for in December. So just because, you know, this happened doesn't mean that the project is flat on its horse. The team's made an announcement. They're doing buybacks. So, you know, I'm glad they've kind of put that in the past now with the awful communication, and hopefully we will see strength now along with the AI narrative on PAL. So talking about AI coins, we can look at Tau. Tau's another one, okay? So just kind of going sideways in a range. Again, I think this is a corrective pattern. It's been in this range for the best part of September, October, November. So nearly 2 months. I think inevitably, when this is ready, I'm looking for prices to continue trading higher. Let's look at Fetch. Fetch is another one. So you can see these AI coins are not quite ready. They are still range bound, okay? But inevitably you want to see price. Fetch, you want to see trade into 260s. It needs to get above 180 to open the floodgates to go to 240, 250. But this is just corrective, you know. They'll have their run. I'm sure they will. ETH USDT, I think goes to 4,000. Like I said, there's my chart on ETH USD. I'm looking for price to trade back into here, and then we can talk about all-time highs. I do want to suggest one thing that you guys should start doing. We have been looking at the ETH or alt USDT pairs. Any ideas what suggestion I'm going to make next to gauge market strength on an altcoin? I've talked about this so many times on stream and on the timeline, and I think it's just such a simple little trick that people forget. And I don't see many people talking about it on the timeline yet again. But if you really want to identify strength in altcoins, what do you think that might be? Correct. Well done. Well done, Balint. Alt BTC pairs. Yep, well done, Ken. You really want to... Look, let me show you something, right? We talked about TUSDT, okay? I've talked about how I've been positioning into this. I'm looking for price to trade higher. I've built my spot position. I've been sat in here for many, many weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. It's just made almost 100% move from my entry. One trade, 4 weeks, and people lack patience. But the key to this, look at what the tier BTC chart was telling you. Bottomed here, started to reclaim above, and what happens when we got the reclaim? Pushed up higher, okay? Short-lived deviation. This was the SR level over here. There you go. Pushes above. The minute, look at that. The minute it pushes above, 1, 2, 3, 4, shakes people out on a few, several days ago, and then it pops higher. Now, if you look at the tier USDT chart, it would have been this move here. Yet this is a higher low, and then it takes off. So notice how some real strength can kick into the market, but notice how you can use the confluence of alt BTC pairs. Even if you look at something like Dime BTC, again, it printed a lower low below here. It was very, very short-lived. 2 days. 2 days, right? That 1, 2 days, 3 days. That in itself, the minute you see this probable reclaim, is a reason to go long. So look for these structures on altcoins. Seriously, you'll find a lot of success with these. NGL, all right. I mean, this is one I invested in, so disclaimer. But yeah, I mean, not great. You know, it's fallen all the way from 283 down to 12 cents. So I'm not going to say much more than this. Other than that, I am an investor. I invested in the ICO round or private sale round. My tokens are still locked investing. And they probably will be locked. I'm not sure for how long, but I guess at least one of the few months, maybe 5-6 months. So, you know, it is what it is. That's the... People think that getting into private sales is easy money. It's not. You look at this shit, and yet my tokens are still locked. So I could still potentially miss. If price goes higher, I could still miss this upside, and I still can't sell my tokens because I don't have them. They're locked in a vesting schedule. Tensor is another one that looks great. I agree. Yeah, it looks good. Honestly, I really do think Tensor has every possibility of filling in this up to here. If things get silly, they will get very, very silly, right? I'm going to spend 5 more minutes on the stream. I can't believe an hour and 10 has already passed by. I want to talk about one aspect, and I think this is a nice segue into Sunday's stream about distribution, taking profits. I want you guys to be realistic, okay? I don't know what's going to happen, but what I can tell you is look back at any altcoin chart, okay? Look back at altcoins in February, March in 2021. You have the stealth phase, you have the awareness phase, you have the mania phase, you have the blow phase. My first question to you is, guys, I just really want you to pay attention to this, because this, I feel, the next 4 to 6 weeks is either going to make you or break you, right? And my question to you guys is, of these 4 phases, which looks to be the shortest in a bull market? All right, look. In my opinion, I feel as though we're here. Media attention. People are talking about Bitcoin. There's enthusiasm in the market now, right? Would you agree? I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about altcoins here, not Bitcoin. Would you agree that there's media attention? There's enthusiasm. The public is starting to get involved. You're seeing people talk about memes on TikToks, TikTok memes coming into crypto, right? So look, the point I'm trying to make is that this is the most aggressive, fastest expansion phase in the market. And it generally is for like 4 to 6 weeks, where you get the 80% of the move is likely to happen in 4 to 6 weeks on a given altcoin. If you look at tier, starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pullbacks, 6, 7 weeks. And then multiple weeks of selling. You see that, yeah? You look at OP. Consolidation. 1. This was back in December, January. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? Why 4 weeks? Why am I not including these here? Why am I only including the 4 just from 1, 2, 3, 4? Because if you look at the peak was here. And then it did nothing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. Back to the range highs. Is it fair to call this, or fair to assume this is an up thrust after distribution? Yes, because it's short-lived, gets back inside, and it bleeds. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Look at the previous cycle. 1, okay, this is the base, breaks out the base. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Has it done anything since thereafter for the next several weeks? No, it hasn't. So the point is, those aggressive moves that I just covered in the mania phase happens fast, happens relentlessly quick, and it doesn't waste any time. And I'll give you another example. I know this for a fact. Look at PAL. Base 1, 2. Let me just start again. There's the base. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Aggressive price action. Price went from 11 cents to nearly 90 cents in 4 weeks. And then weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of bleeding. So the reality is, and you can go back to December 2017, January 2018, go back and look at altcoins. Look at NEO, for example, right? For those of you who traded NEO back then. It's the same shit every time. It's the same shit every time. I traded this from, I think, $11 to 180, and I sold. I literally sold 180, and back then I really wasn't clued up about TA. I just thought, yeah, this is up a lot. I'm just gonna take some profit on this. Pure luck. I did not know it was gonna be the top of the market. But again, when you look at this, this is your base for 7 months, right? This is August 2017. This is November the 27th. Breaks out in December. Right, there's the first break. Out of the range. First week of December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. The top was in that 6th week. And then you get the slow bleed down again. Hence why I keep iterating the point that I don't know what's going to happen, but if we get explosive moves in December into January over 4 to 6 weeks, just remain cognizant of the inefficient moves to the upside and how often they get retraced to the downside, okay? Manage your risk. Know when to cash out. If you can do that, you will not be one of those people who's going to hold it all the way back down again. Go back, study the charts. That's your homework. You'll figure it out, but understand when you start seeing these types of mania phases. And I feel as though like many altcoins are literally here, still in this zone, about to break out. Some are starting to push up, okay? But that's kind of where I feel where we are. If you look at this was the cycle in 2021. Again, I just feel on some of the utility coins, we're kind of in this zone here now, pushing away, and we're going to get silly season. Hopefully we get silly season. I'm not saying we will do, because I shouldn't be speaking in absolutes and certainties, but this is the opportunity ahead of you. Don't be afraid of opportunity, because you don't look back in 4 or 5 weeks and start buying these highs, because you know what? It's too late. You should have been buying these lows and positioning into altcoins then. Okay, let's look at Cardano, because that's an interesting one. What's this pile of crap doing? Did any of you guys ever watch my streams when I shorted this up at nearly $3? And I was being told it's going to go to 10. I don't know if anybody was watching my streams in the summer of 2021. That was a beautiful short all the way back. It was such an easy short. It really was. I shouldn't, I shouldn't laugh, but it really was. It's just too much of an efficient. I mean, come on, just be realistic. Look at this shit, right? When you see this type of stuff on the charts, all this is thin air. All this is thin air. Look at that swing fail. Get us back inside. You can just whack a stop there, short this. First target is filling all this inefficiency. At least down into this level here. It doesn't matter about the time frame. Price is fractal, whichever way you look at it. It's just painful to hold because it is a slow bleed down. It takes multiple weeks, but eventually it gets there. So what is like a couple of weeks on the way up, it takes forever and a day to just get all the way back down again. You'll see this again in next year. Once this alt cycle or alt season plays out and it's over, you're going to see the same shit happen over and over and over again. Okay, so my next stream will be talking about how I identify ways to exit markets, looking for patterns of distribution, and I think it's quite good to do because I want you guys to be equipped or tooled or have the knowledge or the insights to recognize risk, downside risk, when to capitalize on profit, when to get out of the market, and you'll be one of the few people who actually does well. Having captured the upside, capturing the upside and having unrealized profits doesn't mean anything. You then have to convert those unrealized profits into realized profits and avoid this type of significant drawdown. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that, folks. I think that's good enough for today. Just a reminder, on Sunday's stream, we'll be covering altcoin trade setups in further detail. I just feel as though altcoins are in a position where I just want to see slightly more of a pullback. If there is going to be a pullback, that I'd want to share with you. The last thing I want to do is start sharing altcoin trade setups that are into resistance or tops, and then price pulls back 20-30%. You're like, hey, XO, you should the top, you shit cunt. So I just want to give you the higher probability plays. Maybe we get something set up very early in December with the December monthly open. Maybe Bitcoin trades into 83k. Perhaps then I probably will feel comfortable sharing altcoin trade setup. So we'll look at patterns of distribution, how to exit market, looking for top signals, some of the strategies that I use, and then how to switch context from longs to shorts, outright shorts. Okay. Apart from that, have a great week ahead. Stay blessed in your trading. Just be cognizant of any downside on Bitcoin. But again, like I said, with that should present buying opportunities in the chart, and identify which markets you want to trade. And essentially, let's just hope, fingers crossed, that Ethereum continues showing strength. All right. So that's it from me. God bless. I'll catch you on Sunday evening stream, where we will talk about December, the monthly open, trade setups, and all of the other topics that I've just listed here. God bless. Take care. Peace out.